Hello, I'm Lowell Martin, and this is MCC Today. Get ready. On today's show, we have Jeanette, Howell, Bethany, Bratu, and Rhonda Smith. You're going to learn a lot, so don't touch that dial.
We're turning the tables, rewriting the rules, letting the world know that success is not reserved for the privileged few. Every dreamer, every believer, every fighter has a chance to rise above. Together, we will find your path and change your future. No matter who you are, no matter where you come from, at Meridian Community College, you are worth it. Now is your time. Find your wings.
And we are here with the wonderful Miss Jeanette Howell. How are you doing? I almost said Jeanette Hogan.
It's okay. I don't know.
But Jeanette Howell. Now, we were talking earlier, and you've been here a year.
I have. I've been here a whole year.
And some days, I'm sitting in my office and it's like I haven't been here any time at all. Mm-hmm. And other days, I'm sitting in my office going, when will this end? Do you do this same
Yes,
thing?
I feel like I've been here forever some days. And then there's some days where I'm like, I've only been here a year. I hardly know what I'm doing. And then there's days where I'm like, I got this. It's fine. Or change everything. You know, like it just depends on my mood, I guess.
I think it's also our jobs, because every day is something different. Mm-hmm. Every day is new
it's
and
a new
unique.
Adventure. Yeah.
Every day, and that whole thing. And I go back to that whole thing where they say, if you love what you do, you never work. And
yes.
I'm like, I don't think I've worked a day in my life.
I know. I do love what I do, so that's always good. And then like with the area that I'm in, it's always like someone comes in with something I've never heard before, and I'm like, how are we going to accommodate that? You know, like
it's interesting and unique.
Yes.
Now what is your official title?
I'm the CTE Support Services Coordinator.
Okay, which means?
I'm the Accessibility Coordinator.
Okay, which accessibility means getting people connected somehow
with what they need.
With what they need.
Yes.
Okay.
So I always say tearing down barriers, and everyone's like, you're getting so emotional about it. But I'm like, that's what we're doing. We are tearing down barriers, and sometimes we can't see those barriers. But a lot of times,
I remember those commercials years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is before the ADA and all of this, because I'm that old. And you know, you'd see these people who were in wheelchairs, and you know, you have this huge staircase that they can't get up, and all. And you're just like, all we want is
just want to get in.
Yeah.
You know, once I'm in, I'm good. You know, and like
so that's what you do.
Yeah, and when you think about that, like if we did not have automatic doors, right, and someone needs the door and no one's there to let them in, like that can be a deterrent. So I was like, why even go if I have to deal with this every single day?
Sure.
And we're thinking it's just a door, but it's not just a door. You know, that's a barrier for someone. Or like if their class is on the second floor and we don't have an elevator, right? Why go through the hassle of trying to get the whole class moved just for me? Like, right? So it's like, that's why it's important that we have those things.
And there are some students who would be so embarrassed to be, well, you know, when you're like, okay, we're moving to just, and they know, everyone knows it's because of that student.
Yes.
Like, you know,
why? Like they don't want to go through that.
And the same thing with bathrooms. And other things, but I think we do pretty well on the campus as far as
with physical.
Like
as a society, as a country, we've come so far in regards to physical accessibility. So really, I don't see a lot of students with physical needs because we are, you know, we're compliant with ADA, and we're, like Dr. Humner said, that we are gradually making sure every bathroom is accessible across campus. That's a huge deal in and of itself, especially with how old some of our buildings are. Yes. Right. So yeah, I don't really see a lot of people with physical disabilities, but what I do see is a lot of people with learning disabilities or ADHD, anxiety, the things that you do not see, but there are barriers there. Students with learning disabilities, they may not comprehend at the same rate as everyone else, so they need to process things slower. They can still learn it, they can still do the task, but they just need time. Right. And some, like if it's a reading disability, read aloud helps them process faster. It's not that they can't read, it's just they need that time, right? Or like you reading it to them helps them keep at a better pace to get done faster. So
your office, and you can say, allow a student to have more time to test, or allow a student to have the test read to them,
Right.
or allow a student to test in a room that has no distractions.
Right.
So, you are able to do, to help them accessibility-wise that
Right.
way. So how do they get to you? How do they get these services? What do they need to do?
They have to self-identify, which
Okay.
means they need to tell somebody, I have a disability and I need accommodation.
Which is very different from high school.
High school, yes,
Okay,
under
because-
two different laws.
Okay. And you came from...
I came from the high school.
So you know
yeah,
of which you speak.
We have, yes, yes, exactly. That's what I went to school for, studied
Okay.
all of that. But we, in high school, these are all public schools. Their job is child find. It's called child find. Their job is from, I believe, 3 and up. Is they are supposed to be looking for kids in the community that have disabilities and how can they accommodate them and get them the services they need to promote their education, right? But after you get out of high school, that's it. They no one's seeking anybody out.
You can't run into the class and go,
Right.
you need help.
Right. I can't run into the classroom and be like, hey, come see me. I can't do that. I can't go looking for them. I can put the information out there. I can go speak. I can tell everybody. But until they come to me and say, hey, I need this service.
Okay.
Right. And sometimes teachers will be like, they can see someone has a physical disability and they're like, I really think this coming up is going to be an issue. And I'm like, they haven't come to me. And they may think that they're completely fine. Like we
Right.
just have to wait. I get that people want to be proactive. I love being proactive, like let's take care of it up front. But unless the student says it, and the thing is, that student in particular was completely fine. So,
Right.
so like the student knew what they needed. We have to trust that, but also just we can't violate their rights. So
And we are very big on the student privacy, and
Right.
there are things you cannot do. You cannot discuss grades. You cannot discuss
Right.
anything like that. So I understand where that is coming from. But then once a student knows about you, and what do they need to bring to you to be able to get these services?
Right.
What do they need to have with them?
A lot of people think it's a lot, but it's not what they think it is. Like it could be as simple as just a doctor's note. But if they had it in high school, and that could be a public or private,
Okay.
and that could be an IEP or a 504 because those are different, and they'll know if they have one. But if they bring me that from a high school, they're
That's
approved.
good. Okay.
I'll fill everything out, and then within 2 days they'll have their accommodations in place. But if someone did not have it in high school, because we're a community college, we don't have all the traditional students. The traditional
Right.
student here is not a kid coming out of high school.
No.
So I could have a 33-year-old nursing student, right? If they have something and their doctor writes a note, it tells me what the disability is, how it impacts them. It has to tell me, I can have anxiety, but it might not impact me in the educational environment. It might impact me in some other. It has to tell me how it impacts them here. And then they have to tell me, these are the things that I recommend that they get: extended time, quiet testing area, those kind of things. And then if they bring me that signed, dated within the past 3 years, they're good.
And this has to be done every semester?
Yes, the paperwork, I keep their paperwork.
Okay.
So they don't have to bring me a doctor's note every semester. They just have to come back and say, hey, I'm
They-
still here.
They have to self-identify
Yeah.
every semester.
They just have to come and say, hey, I've registered again, because I can't see if they've registered
Sure.
again. They transfer, they graduate. I just need to know. I would know if they graduated. Yeah,
Well,
I go to
that's
graduation, but but if they transfer, they decide they want to do something else. I just need to know if they're still here.
So if a student wants to self-identify, wants to come by and take advantage of the services that you can offer, how do they get in touch with you?
They can call me, they can email me, they can swing by my office. They can call me at 601-484-8777. They can email me at ehowell@meridiancc.edu, or they can just swing by financial aid and sign in. There's a computer with my name on it, and I'll just come out and get them. Or if we're in the Source Center, I'll be with the
When we get in
advisors.
there,
Well, yes.
hopefully
But if they just go to their advisor and say, hey, I'm looking for accessibility services, they'll send them to me. We're all under the same leader. They know where I'm at.
I know that here at MCC, I think we really do have a very accepting atmosphere. Do you notice, just in general, that people are more accepting of difference? Of students, when because I do remember, and I've been here long enough to remember years and years ago, teachers going, no, they're just taking advantage of this and blah, 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 blah. And I'm
Right.
not, be thinking that you're giving them an advantage instead of trying to level the playing field.
Right.
Do you see more of that? Do you see more of an acceptance of?
I think so, especially on the community college level, because a lot of people think of it as an advantage when really we're just evening it out. I believe there was don't quote me, okay? I can't give you the source, but we did a training. It was about only 30% of students who truly need accommodations in the college atmosphere actually self-identify. So there's 70% floating around here, right? That don't ever come by and say, hey, I need those accommodations. They don't self-identify.
That's unfortunate.
And I've only been here a year,
Right.
but I've got several that have been here. GPAs have dropped and they're like, oh, well, I had accommodations in high school. I was trying to see if I could do it on my own. I was like, baby, you were always doing it on your own. Like you had accommodations, because to graduate from high school, you have to pass those state tests. The only accommodation you can get on those state tests is read aloud, extended time, things like that. There's no teacher sitting beside them and helping them with that
Right,
test.
right.
So I'm like, you were always doing it on your own. These accommodations are things that you need because you learn differently. You process things differently. We all don't learn I don't learn sitting in a desk for 8 hours a day.
Sometimes there are many people who say I never learned. But listen, I want to thank you for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.
MCC costs less and gives you more. Are you ready to jumpstart your career but don't have the time for a traditional 4-year degree? Meridian Community College can have you workforce ready in as little as 1 semester. We have workforce programs ranging from 1 semester to 2 years with experienced instructors and hands-on training that will help you gain the skills you need to succeed and start earning a paycheck sooner. Find your wings at Meridian Community College.
And we are here with the wonderful Miss Bethany Bratu. How are you doing?
I'm very good. I don't know why I just stuck my tongue out, but hey, that's the vibe.
Bethany was worried that she wouldn't get here on time because you were involved in testing, which is part of your job.
Yes.
This is not part of your job, but you're just doing it out of the goodness of your heart. Now, what is your exact title?
My title is the Support Services Proctor. So I work with Jeanette Howell, or Edwina Howell, however you know her. She's our accessibility CTE service coordinator. So we work with students who have disabilities, and one of the accommodations that they could have is test accommodations, so like extended test time, quiet or individual testing, or like read aloud tests, things like of that nature.
Now, how long have you been doing this now?
I started this in October 2019 in this position. I've been at MCC for 5 years now.
Okay, but in this position, how has being in this position and helping these students changed how you looked at people with disabilities? And I mean, I know we're all empathetic, you know what I mean? But it's like, but sometimes you don't understand what goes into some of the things.
You don't,
you know what I mean?
You don't understand the struggles that some students have, and especially, when we're all taking tests, we all like get a little bit nervous and things like that. We want to do well on our tests, but then some students genuinely will have like a whole anxiety attack, a meltdown, or they're very ADHD and they can't deal. Like, we're sitting in class taking a test, you can hear someone clicking their pen, it gets on your nerves. It doesn't pull you out of your test and make it impossible for you to focus on your test and get it done. So those little things really make a difference for some students when they're eliminated from the area that they're in and they can just be there and focus.
And one of the things that I'm constantly telling people, because I hear this, is like, they're getting advantages from, and it's like, no, it's not. That's not what we do.
No.
We are trying to level the playing field.
Exactly.
That's all we're trying to do. It's not like we're trying to give someone some additional help, but it is, because of the clicking or because they can't focus on the test. So we're allowing them to do that. So when you're with the testing, what kind of accommodations do we provide?
So with testing, like I said, when they get testing accommodations, a lot of them generally will get extended test time, which is either time plus 1/2, and in certain instances they can get double test time.
Okay.
That very much depends on what their diagnosis is and the recommendations of their doctor.
Okay.
And then once we do the extended test time, pretty much all of them will get either individual or small group testing. Our small group testing usually 10 people or less. And that's if all of our individual testing rooms are booked in full for that time, which we have 10 of those. We're very fortunate to have those.
We are.
And
in those, within those 10 the individual rooms, there are very few distractions.
yes, so they're like the size of a small closet. They have a desk, they have a computer, and they have a chair, and then there's a door, and it has a window in the door, and so if I need to walk by and look, I can look in there and look, but I also monitor through security cameras, which some people don't realize that.
And we might not need to tell them.
No, they don't realize. Well, we tell them, you're monitored
I
through the
know,
use of
I
security
know.
camera and everything. They just don't realize it,
Yeah.
and they try things.
Oops.
It never goes well. It's always an awkward conversation, but
Well, that's like with our e-learning center. They can look at anything that you're looking at on the screen. They can look at, and sometimes you just want to go, look. Why did you want? But now the big difference, and I harp on this a good bit with Edwina, Jeanette. She likes to be called Jeanette.
yes.
But with Miss Jeanette is that the difference between high school and college.
Yes.
It is a big difference.
It's a big difference.
Okay. And so could you tell us a little bit about the difference, but you might have had accommodations in high school. That does not necessarily mean you will have accommodations in college. Am I correct?
No, it doesn't always. The big difference is that when they're in high school or K through 12, the teachers can pull them out and say, hey, we think that you may need these accommodations, and create like an IEP or a 504, anything of that nature for the student. And that just goes on with them throughout their K through 12 career. Once you get to college, if you do not self-identify, we don't know. We can't go up to you and say like, hey, we heard you're struggling.
I can't go to a student and go, you need help.
Yes. So one thing that we encourage instructors to do, if you see a student that is struggling with maybe signs of ADHD or not being able to focus, have a conversation with them. Be like, hey, maybe you need to talk to Miss Jeanette about this, and we can go from there and see if we can find out. But we can't physically go, like an instructor tells us, oh, so-and-so, they seem to be having a hard time focusing on their tests. They're not getting done on time. Great news for us. Like, we can be aware of them. We can't go to them. They have to come to us. And
They have to self-identify.
Yes, they have to self-identify. They have to provide documentation of what their disability would be or is from their doctor, and recommendations from their doctor about what sort of accommodations would help them. And now not all accommodations would get approved. Like, let's say, like the one I've always used is just a generic thing when I'm talking to a student of like something that would be considered unreasonable. Like if a doctor recommended you only test in a purple room with a purple light. If we had one of those, great, but it also could be considered unreasonable accommodation. Okay. We can give you a normal room with a normal light. But you can wear purple sunglasses if that helps. That's. But we're a small college, so we the bigger colleges you go, the better they may be able to accommodate certain things. But across the board, we do a very, very good job of accommodating all the needs of our students. We have students in our CT programs that have physical disabilities where they're in a wheelchair. We have students with hearing disabilities or vision disabilities. We run the gamut of all sorts of things, and we do a very good job of making sure that they're taken care of and that their needs are met and that they're able to succeed in their programs and go on to university or go into a career if they're in a vocational program.
Well, one other thing that I want to make sure is that for students to understand that this is not going to happen overnight.
No.
If they come and they self-identify, there are things that you have to do. So it's like if they self-identify, they're not going to necessarily get accommodations on the next test.
No.
Unless they do it.
Yes.
With plenty of time.
When a lot of them, we've gotten our information on the website now, so we've made it a little less cloak and dagger. It's very easy for students. So when they go look, see like, I want to get accommodations. What do I need to bring? They can go ahead and they're like, okay, I need to bring all this. And they can bring that to that meeting with Jeanette and get set up. And then once Jeanette approves those accommodations, if they have all of their documentation and everything, once they're approved, it takes 2 business days from the day you sign. So let's say you sign today, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Monday is a holiday for us. So Friday, Tuesday, next Wednesday would be the first day you would be eligible for accommodations. So we encourage students, start this process the beginning of the semester before the beginning of the semester. And then again, when you're renewing your accommodations, you don't have to get all that documentation in place. We already have it on file. You just have to request them. Because if they are course and semester specific, if they are not requested, we don't just automatically hand them out. And that is something that can trip up students a little.
Yes.
It happens every semester. It usually happens once for a student. And it's, you know, we feel bad, but we send reminders. We do send a reminder out, and you are an adult in college now, so you do need to take responsibility.
Yes. Well, listen, I want to thank you for being here and explaining this. The one thing I can guarantee about Bethany when she comes here is she will always be colorful.
Yes.
She will always be colorful, and she will always have different colors.
Different colors, different outfits. Never wear it twice.
Well, listen, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Thank you to the teachers for encouraging me when I wasn't sure where to start, for seeing my potential even when I didn't, for inspiring me to reach farther and try harder.
Thank you, MCC. You helped me change my future.
Find your wings at MCC.
And we are here with the wonderful Miss Rhonda Smith, one of my favorite people on this campus.
Oh, I bet you say that to everybody.
I honestly don't. I say that to quite a few, but you and I just connected.
Oh, yes. Yes.
When we first met, we just connected.
That's
so
right.
There's just something about that, and something about some people that you just connect to.
We just have kindred spirits.
There you go.
Yeah.
What is now you work in our adult education.
That's correct. I'm in the adult education department. People still call it the GED
I know,
department.
I know.
But I'm the college and career navigator for that department. I'm not an instructor. What I normally do is I help students transition, whether they're transitioning to college, the military, helping them find employment. That's what I do. Help them find resources in the community if they need childcare, transportation. So I'm sort of that go-between in order to help them be successful in our program while they're earning their high school equivalency.
And you know, and this is not just with our adult education or adult students. I think there's no normal student anymore. There's no normal age anymore. It can, at any time, but some of them have so much on their plate.
Oh, yes,
So much on their shoulders.
Right.
And you know, you just, I've said this to my students all the time. I'm like, I don't see how you're still standing.
Right.
But you're here.
You're here.
You're here. And I know that you're the perfect person to do what you do.
Well, it's a team effort. I appreciate you saying that, but it's, you know, it's not just me. From my director, Ms. Whitlock, to the instructors, we all pitch in wherever we need to try to help those students. So
now, the thing is, and we say this and we know it, but completing your high school equivalency, and you know, can be so life-changing for many of these people.
Oh, definitely. I think it's a second chance for a new opportunity. You know, people say that all the time, but it's hard. We see some 16 to 17-year-olds, some younger ones, but like you said, for a 30-year-old who's had some life challenges, who's been out working already, may have a family, a couple of kids, to come back through the door, you know, after being out of school 10, 15 years, that can be challenging, but it can also be rewarding, as you said, by getting that. It can be life-changing for those doors to open up to them. Just by getting that high school equivalency, they have more opportunities for better jobs, self-sustaining wages, to come back and go to college, things that some of them thought they would never do. So it is a great opportunity.
Do you find yourself sometimes having to use both the carrot and the stick with them? With some people?
Unfortunately, yes, but you know, you have that in your family too, so it's just like treating a family member, trying to help them along the way.
These people become, it's like you are so concerned about them, and you want it so much for them.
Right.
You know, that they feel like they're part of your family.
Yes, and a lot of them come back and tell us, you know, that they couldn't have made it without that extra nudge or the carrot or the stick. They couldn't have made it, but it's rewarding for them, and it's rewarding for us to be able to help somebody along the way.
Well, now we have a registration coming up.
Oh,
over
yes,
there, don't
yes. We have a registration. It's free. You know, that's what I love about the high school equivalency. It's free. It's on June the 30th. That's on a Friday at 9 a.m.
Okay.
Process takes about 2 hours.
Okay, so prepare to stay about 2 hours.
About 2 hours, and that we get general registration information, name, birthday, phone number, and then we do give them something called the TABE assessment, which is the test of adult basic education. It's not necessarily a test, it's an assessment to let us know where they are, what level they are, so we can meet each student where they are. Everybody comes there to get their high school equivalency diploma, but like I tell them, their journey is going to be different, and in order for us to meet them where they are, we have to give them that assessment when they
Does
come.
the TABE, because used to, and I don't know if we still do this, but used to with the old GED, they had 5 areas that they tested people in. Am I correct in that?
That is correct.
Do we still do that?
Yep, we still, what we do is we've combined reading and writing. So
Okay.
some people say that's one test in the same, but in order to earn your high school diploma, because it's earned, it's not
Yes, it
given.
is.
We
It
have a
is.
lot of
It is
people
earned.
call and say, I need to register for my GED, and they actually think they're registering and all they have to do is come pick it up.
Yeah.
But they actually have to take a test, which is reading and writing. That's one subject, math, science, and social studies. And they actually have to pass all of those subjects before they earn their high school equivalency. And it's not necessary to walk in the door and do it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So now, so when they come on June 30th at 9 o'clock, what do they have to have? Do they need their driver's license? Do they
Yes.
need? Do you have to have anything with you besides a driver's license?
No, unless you are 16 or 17 years old. We
Okay.
do accept 16 and 17-year-olds who are not currently enrolled in a high school program. They have to have a valid withdrawal form from the last school they attended. We do see some homeschool students, and they just have to bring their documentation from the truancy officer, but driver's license or photo ID is all they need.
Okay, and so it's going to take approximately 2 hours.
Yes.
And will you be able to tell them at the end of that 2 hours, once they've taken the TABE test, what kind of what they're going to need to do? Are you going to have to go ahead and show them the program of study that you
On the first
have for them?
The initial registration, they will not know where
Okay.
they are. It's a snippet. When they
Okay.
come in, it's actually the TABE locator. A little bit of reading, a little bit of writing, a little bit of math. On the computer, it takes about 15 minutes for them to do some of the subjects. And then they come back the following week and do a little bit more that gives us a better look at where they actually are before we put them in a class. And we do have students who still do not know how to read and write. So we have literacy classes for those students. We have people who are on the middle level, which is about 3rd to 5th grade level. Most of our students, when they come in, are about on the 3rd to 5th grade level.
Okay.
And then we do see some that may have went to the 11th grade or the 12th grade. And normally those students are not there that long, but we meet you where
you're
you are.
Now, typically, before you had classes that you would offer in the mornings and other classes that you would offer in the evenings.
That's
Do y'all
correct.
still do that?
We still do that. We because people do work
Right.
and they come in at night. Our classes are only 3 hours a day.
Okay.
So if you register, you have the opportunity to choose morning classes, which is 8:30, 11:30, afternoon 1 to 4, and we do have night classes on Monday and Wednesday nights.
Okay. Okay. Now, so typically speaking, about how many can you take at one time? Is there a limit?
No,
So
there's no
like
limit.
any number that can come in, that's who you're going to take care of.
That's right, because we have 4 different teachers. So
Right.
if they come in the morning, we have 4 teachers. They come in the afternoon, we have 4 teachers. They come at night, we have 3 teachers. So we can take as many as they want to.
I have, and I've noticed this with some people, and especially when you're trying to encourage them to come back and get their high school equivalency, they have built up some classes as such a threat in their mind.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that? Like the person who comes in and is like, math.
Yeah, and that's mainly the subject that most people struggle in. But I have to say, we have some awesome adult education instructors, and a lot of them are on different levels. And so you may go to Mr. Walker for math, and he does his bag of tricks in helping you. But if for some reason that's not getting to them, they may end up with Miss Coleman, who may
Okay.
try something different. Like I say, we meet them where they are to try to help them overcome it. And students that's on a higher level, they can go into our My Best program, college credit classes. We help pay for those, workforce classes. So when they leave adult education, they have more than just their high school equivalency diploma. They have some certification and some certificates that can help them in life.
Good.
Yes.
Now, so the next one is June 30th,
June 30th.
Friday, June 30th at 9 o'clock.
At 9 a.m. And we will have some dates after that. If for people that don't make it, they can call us at 601-484-8796. And we will have some other dates in July. mainly at night, and then we have classes at the Wesley House.
Okay.
So we are trying to get a date for those who are in that area that may have trouble with transportation.
Well, my good friend, thank you for being on
Oh,
the show
thank you for
today.
having me.
I appreciate it greatly.
Yes.
And I want you to come on anytime you got anything to tell us, or if you just want to visit.
May want to just come turn a flip.
Please do. I would love to see
Oh
that.
yeah, you have to get me off the floor when it's over with. But
But I do appreciate it.
thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.
Not essential. Never let anyone tell you that again. Never doubt your abilities to make a difference. How do I know this about you? Because I'm a teacher. I am the one who will push you harder and farther than you could have ever imagined. Teach you things that you never thought possible. And if you will give me 100%, then I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you, and together we will change your future. MCC, find your wings.
On behalf of executive producers Matt Milner and Tanisha Clark, media mogul Josh Taylor, and me, hope you learned a little bit. See you next week.